All right. Once again, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the MSF 4.0 webinar that we are hosting today. It is part of the SHRDC Communications webinar series. And for today, our topic, as you are aware, would be on machine data logging and visualization for smart factory. And today we are featuring two speakers. One is Dr. Chua Wen-Shyan, the head of the Malaysian Smart Factory. The other one is Ms. Karen Savarimuthu, who is representing Beverage. Before I begin to introduce very briefly our speakers for today, I'd like to go through some housekeeping guidelines with you. Please note that the microphones and video options for all participants are muted to ensure that we have a smooth flow of the session today. Yeah, and also in terms of the raise hand option is also disabled so that we have a smooth flow for today. If you have any general inquiries with regards to the session, please utilize the chat box and my colleagues and myself will get back to you in due course. For all questions and answers, please post it in the Q&A box and we will address it one by one by the presenters as well as myself if possible at the end of the session. For optimal viewing, we are recommending the side-by-side view. And a copy of today's session will be available in a few days' time, and we will share the link with all participants as part of the post-webinar series, post-webinar email. Okay, I will proceed now to introduce our speaker. The Malaysian Smart Factory, as some of you may be aware, is an initiative by Selangor Human Resource Development Centre, better known as SHRDC. The objective is to deliver hands-on and competency-based training programs to support workforce and talent development in the fields of IoT and smart factory. We specialize in workforce training application pathway, which is an affordable and sustainable method towards Industry 4.0 adoption by industry. MSF is led by Dr. Chua Wen-Shyan, who obtained his PhD in Control Systems Engineering from Monash University, Malaysia. His key area is control automation systems, fault detection and identification, as well as predictive maintenance strategies, and all these are part and parcel of Industry 4.0 application. I'd like to also take this opportunity to introduce Ms. Karen Savarimuthu, who is representing Beverage, our partner for this session. V1 by Beverage offers technology solutions focusing on future-proofing business operations through digital transformation and introduction of IoT applications. Ms. Karen brings with her more than 20 years of working experience in the IT sector. She's covered sectors including customer service, data centers, management, training industry, network management, cloud computing, and product development. With Vitrox, Karen specializes in cross-industry alliance, partnerships, and business transformation consultations. Without further ado, I will hand over the session to Dr. Chua, who will provide his presentation. Thank you. As reminded earlier, please provide your Q&A or any queries in the chat box and the Q&A box respectively. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Eileen, for the introduction, and thank you very much, Karen, for joining us this morning. So let me put up my slide for my presentation this morning. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this morning. Hope you all are doing well during this period. So this morning, on my end, my name is Dr. Chua, and what I will share with you this morning is a more in-depth overview in terms of the machine data logging and visualization strategies that we have at the Malaysian Smart Factory to support industries in terms of moving them to accelerate their growth in terms of Industry 4.0. So without further ado, let me start my presentation for this morning. So the Industry 4.0, as most of you have seen this image before, which is very, very commonly seen, it all starts with a journey towards digital transformation and productivity. So if you look at the industrialization 1.0, it started with the mechanization and steam power. Moving into Industry 2.0, that's where mass production and assembly line started with electrical energy. And then when you move into Industry 3.0, that's where automation, computers, and electronics comes in. And of course, when you start to think about Industry 4.0, that's really where the cyber-physical systems come in, the Internet of Things, and of course, when you talk about networking strategies, it's all about machine communicating with each other. And how do we really achieve this in a very effective manner to adopt the strategies of Industry 4.0? So let me share with you some of the concept of a smart factory, right? We hear a lot about the 9 pillars or the many types of technologies related to Industry 4.0. But what is it all about in terms of integrating them together? So when you talk about smart factory, the concept is always in terms of the integration-based concept, where we look in terms of the horizontal integration. That's where your hardware and software integration comes about. Then when we look at the vertical integration, that's where AI, analytics, cloud computing, cyber-physical systems come in. And then when you move forward into, when you have a lot of data, you have a lot of analytics, you want to move forward to create models of your factory, your operation, that's where you look at the digital twin. So we sort of push down the components into 3 particular key important factors towards smart factory, which is the operational technologies, information system technologies, and of course, eventually the digital factory. So now smart factory, the concept of it is not to make technologies complex or difficult to implement. It's really about implementing and integrating it in a fast, flexible, and scalable manner in terms of integrating from OT to IT. So how do you really think about putting all technologies together? We look at the multi-vendor approach, which is we look at a brand neutral approach in terms of integrating technologies. We talk about open communication protocols where each machine are talking in a single language. For example, English is our common medium of communication. Same for machines, there must be a common medium of communications, or there could be a translator in between, right? Then we talk about open collaboration concept, and this is something that is really exciting and interesting that industries can take note of in terms of kickstarting their journey, which I will share more with you in a short moment, how this open collaboration concept and approach will then allow you to achieve rapid prototyping and development, and hence eventually reducing the time to deploy your applications of smart factory and Industry 4.0 to your factory environment. So when we think about smart factory again, it's really all about technologies that are modular, compatible, flexible, and scalable. So if you think about Lego pieces, right, when you put them together, right, you have small Lego pieces which are like smart objects. You put them together, it becomes smart production modules. And when you want to scale up into a production line, that's where you put all your Lego blocks together. So it's really about modularity, compatibility, flexibility, and scalability. So with all these put together, basically what happens is that you reduce the complexity of integrating technologies, and hence you actually reduce the cost in overall for integrating all these technologies together, is in which what I will share with you more in a short bit. So thinking about Industry 4.0 and thinking about smart factory altogether, right? It's all about data, right? It's not really so much about automation anymore, but it's more about what data can do for you. So when you look at all the machines and all the factory supply chain being integrated together, right? You have a lot of data being collected every day. What can data do for you, right? It can provide you with, visibility, transparency in terms of your machine availability, for example, right? You are able to visualize and to see whether your machine is frequently down, how often it is down, what is the trend of it being down, right? All these are all about availability. Then when you think about performance, it's all about cycle time, right? It's all about takt time. When you buy a machine, it's supposed to produce a part every 10 seconds, but is it doing that? That's something for you to find out, which what performance can tell you, whether your machine time is as per your design or as per your specification, right? Then when you think about quality, right, you can let the machine run at a very fast pace, right, 4 seconds per part. But if you produce a lot of rejects in a day, it's not very effective or productive in terms of your overall operation. So all this data can be put together to formulate what we call as an equation of effectiveness. For example, OEE, which is the overall equipment effectiveness, right? So this is something that data can do for you. Now, what else can data do for you? Basically, when you talk about data, it's all about providing you with insight, analysis, decision, action, right? It's all about assisting you to make decisions at a faster period of time. So when you look at this diagram, right, from the time an event happened, all the way to the resolution of the event, it's all about minimizing that time delays in between so that you actually reduce the cost to make a decision, right? Time equals to cost. So if you can actually reduce the overall time to make a decision from the time the event happens, and you can analyze and identify your root cause at a very fast rate, you can actually really minimize your cost in terms of ensuring your production line is running at a faster speed of time. So now, when you talk about data, you know, you have insight, you have the capability to see what is happening. But over time, do you just want to see it on a daily basis, or do you want to see it running as a trend or a period? You want to see a data trend, right? So that's why data storage comes in, right? When you talk about data storage, it's not just about storing data, you know, on a daily basis. It's for a long period of time. So some of the strategies will include, for example, data storage in terms of log files, right? When you think about aeroplanes, right, they have a black box. That's where data is being stored in terms of recording. So similar to your machines, you know, your operations, you need to store enough information on a daily basis to understand how your performance of machines are actually running, and you can compare it between your different production lines on a daily basis. So some of the simpler data logging strategies is, for example, logging in log files like text files or .csv formats. So it can be simply achieved, you know, for example, like this diagram over here is what we actually show how you can send data from a particular gateway to a CSV file at a very fast rate. It's just a drag and drop kind of method. So this is some of the technologies that are already there to actually send data to an Excel sheet in a very, very quick manner. So it's a quick win for you to start data logging in this kind of strategy. Now, if you want to move forward into saving more data per day, right, on premise, when you have a lot of data being collected per day, for example, 10,000 data sets per day, you want to collect, you know, for a period of time in a month, that's 30 days with 10,000 data sets per day. That's a lot of data to be saved in an Excel sheet, for example. So you might want to consider putting your data into a database storage system. So that's where we can then save data into database storage system like MySQL, InfluxDB, which is time series database. And it can be simply achieved by, for example, sending data, connecting it in a flow-based development tool like this to actually send data directly to a database logging system over here. And you know, you just have to identify your table, your columns, and your values. And that's how very less complex or simple approach to actually start your database storage journey. So what data storage can do for you, or why data logging is very important, you know, when we talk about smart factory altogether, it's all about providing visualization and identifying trends in data sets, right? So it's not just about looking at, okay, today I achieved my OEE of 80%, right? And then tomorrow is 60%. But when you look at it over time, why is there a particular trend? What happened during this period that helped you to achieve 80% and then tomorrow it's down by 60% again? So these are ways where data storage will help you to visualize and identify trends in data sets in a very long period of time, right? Now, of course, when you think about smart factory, it's not just about looking at static data points. For example, you want to look at real-time data monitoring in a very whole, holistic manner. For example, temperature monitoring, power consumption, current monitoring. So those are real-time monitoring aspects where you need to store your data, look at it over a period of time and see trends where failure happens. And that's where you can achieve eventually anomaly detection when you look into your whole data visualization dashboard. Now, of course, when you put them all together, you know, you can achieve much more than just data storage. You can actually put all your data, you can actually pull all your information from your database into real-time monitoring visualization dashboards like this, where we look at the overall production line OEE, we look at the power consumption per day, We look at the temperature and humidity tracking every day. And all these data are being stored in a system. There is a retention period, and that's where you can actually pull out this information and eventually do a lot of analytics from there. And that's why data storage and visualization is very, very important. So when you think about why, this strategy is important for you, it's really about moving, your strategies of maintenance, for example, from reactive to preventive to predictive. You want to use data-driven methodologies to actually identify trends. You want to utilize data to actually provide you with insight, to provide you with analysis for root cause, of identifying what is the root cause per day. And that will actually reduce your overall time delays to make a decision. So that's really what data storage and visualization can really do for you. Now, thinking about all these strategies that I've just shared with you, right? Now, how can you really start your journey at a very quick phase? And basically it's a Kickstarter, right? For you to kickstart your journey into Industry 4.0 at a very low cost effective rate, basically. So we look at breaking it down into 5 levels of components for industries. For example, we break it down into level 1 to level 5. Level 1, which talks about data generation. Level 2 is data visualization. Level 3 is data storage. Level 4 is data formulation. And level 5 is data analytics. Why we broke it down into 5 different maturity levels is because many industries come to us and they share with us that I want to achieve AI. I want to achieve analytics. I want my factory to do much more for me, right, in terms of analytics and AI. But the main important question that I will ask first is, do you have data? Yes, I have data. My machine generates data every day. That's level 1. Now, but then I ask them, do you store your data over a long period of time? No, my retention period is only the data per day. I will pull out the log file and that's about it. So that's a problem when it comes to the overall analytics and AI strategies. You want to look at historian data for a long period of time. And that's where data storage and visualization actually comes in as a very important factor for us to understand, so that we can achieve more effective and accurate analytics and AI strategies being put in place. The machine can only be as smart as you teach it to be based on the data sets that you provide, right? So looking at all the level of maturity that I've just shared, these are also areas in which we provide in terms of technical programs at SHRDC. So if you look at this range of programs that we offer, we actually break it down into the levels for you, right? For example, we have a technical overview. We start at level 0.5, right? You are one step ahead if you're not yet in level 1. And then, of course, level 2 and level 3 are covered in a program called Machine Data Logging and Visualization. And of course, level 4, we talk about data formulation, which is OEE, and level 5 is data analytics. And what is special about our programs, it's really about the way we design and develop it to really support the industries. How we do that is the platforms that we utilize are very flexible and scalable, such that even technologies like V1 by Vitrox is able to be integrated to our software and platform that we teach, and we can easily send information to V1 if you're interested in their platform later on as an option for you to scale up your businesses, right? So these are some of the ideas that you can have in terms of kickstarting your journey. So give you an example of machine data logging and visualization. This is one of the programs that we deliver as part of level 2 and level 3, right? Level 1 is data generation, which is one of our insert program that is one of our bestseller programs that we currently have. This is an extension to it if you want to look at data logging and visualization strategies. So what are you able to understand and learn from this program? Basically, you're able to look into the database storage methodologies, strategies, how to do it. We will teach you a hands-on approach to do it, guide you through that process. We will help you to visualize historical data from on-premise database using open collaboration platforms. And all the platforms that we teach basically are highlighted over here, right? All these platforms are already readily available for you. You can download it even today, and you can explore it on your own. And basically what we do is we tailor-make the programs in such a way that we teach you the important and key concept to integrate all these together so that you can start your journey at a very, very fast and rapid pace. So this program is basically open to engineers, technicians, technical managers, IT, ERP teams, and even any academics with relevant background who wants to attend this program. So basically, it's very open platforms that we use and very, very scalable for you to achieve, right? So now you might think about, okay, if I come for a training program, right, what is the impact and what is the outcome that I can achieve from these training programs that I come in terms of starting my journey in terms of digital transformation, right? So let me share with you this concept called training to implementation, or T2I. This is something that we sort of support the industries on a post-training kind of basis, right? So what we help industries with is we help them identify a technical team to adopt Industry 4.0. We work on Industry 4.0 talent development programs for them, which is what we offer. We work with them to identify some Kickstarter projects. We collect data, help them collect data from legacy machines. They then develop the software to connect, to build, to collect data, to visualize their data on a dashboard. And when they complete the project, what is the key sort of outcome that they achieve is basically they have ownership over the whole integration process that develop. Basically, the whole software belongs to them, right? So this T2I implementation is a success story that we have with industries which want to kickstart their journey in terms of Industry 4.0 at a very, very effective rate, which is very cost effective and also helps to build capacity for a more sustainable digital transformation for industries, right? So of course, if we are always here in SHRDC and the Malaysian Smart Factory to support the industries in this digital transformation ecosystem, right? We provide technology training and development. We have this space as a technology learning platform. Behind me is actually the Malaysian Smart Factory laboratory space where you can come and visit when the opportunity allows for it after the whole pandemic situation has cooled down. Of course, we provide as well proof of concept and lighthouse projects post-training as a post-training support. This space is actually a live demonstration of technologies put together all within the concept of OT, IT, and DF. And of course, we have a digital training platform which will be launched soon. So do stay tuned and connect with us so that we can then support you in your talent development roadmap, right? So of course, to kickstart and scale up, we will always be here to support you. Please do connect with us. These are some of the brochures or information that you can get from our website. If you want to find out a bit more about Industry 4.0 and the programs that we run, you can visit our website. We have a webinar series, recordings all on our website as well. Facebook, LinkedIn, we are there for you. Just let us know how we can support you in your journey of Industry 4.0. So with that, that's all I have for my presentation today. Thank you very much. And yeah, on to you, Yilin.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chua. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard from Dr. Chua on the benefits of data storage as a key part of digitization for industry, and specifically the importance of workforce or employee training towards supporting their own companies and organizations on the Industry 4.0 journey. Now, next up, we have Ms. Karen from Vitrox, and I'll hand over to you right now, Karen, for your presentation.
Thank you, Yilin. Thank you, Dr. Chua. And thank you everyone for attending and spending time listening to both of us today. Okay, without further ado, let me start my presentation for today. Okay, as you know, Vitrox has been very well doing in visual inspection system machine buildings. So apart from there, we are also providing a software platform for Industrial 4.0 solutions. So this is the tagline for our system where we call it Connect, Visualize, and Proact. Okay, let me go directly into certain industries that I can share with you for today. Okay, as what Dr. Chua has shared to you, how important the data logging is, and how is it can be visualized for you in various types of charts, dashboards, analytics, for you to do a lot of improvements in terms of your business opportunities. So today, like for example, what I showcase in my slides here is that metal fabrication industries. What are the critical parameters these industries are looking forward? For example, for the machine status, like machine utilization, the OEE, what is the operational status of their equipment, and what is the feed rate? in terms of preventive maintenances, what is the motor temperatures, what are the battery status, or even what are the speedo motor installation resistance. So all these are very much key important factors when you are running in your factory. So how do you monitor this without collecting any data? So data again is very important. There's another opportunities that you're also doing a food and beverage processing industries. A long time ago, maybe you do not collect any data which does not make any sense or what, but now it is very much important. All those data, because it is very much useful. It gives you a lot of insights in terms of how can you improve in the quality of your products, in sense of the productivity of your operational systems, of your operational processes that you're doing, or what is the efficiencies that is running in your systems, or the efficiencies of your people that is running the production. So all this you can be monitored. Even in a packaging industry, there are a lot of critical parameters. You might be thinking it's just a glove, it doesn't make a lot of profits, but maybe about a few cents. But in a sense of how do you measure the defects of all these particular products that you produce, it does make sense, because if you have a lot of wastages which is not being counted or which is not being affected into your calculations, so how do you know how much do you make when you are calculating against the OEE? So you would not be able to know whether you are doing a good product or bad products. So this is also very important in the sense of measuring the pressure of your equipment, the pressure of your devices, the yield, or how to minimize your wastage. All this you can automate. So you can reduce all the manual data collections into automations. Even agriculture industries are moving towards technology. You know, there's a lot of countries outside of Malaysia, the Asian countries are always using a lot of technologies in terms of how they can monitor their farms, their vegetables, how is the growth in sense of the temperature, the humidities, the water level, especially during this pandemic time. You may not have a lot of people going to the farms, and you might have reduction of manpowers and so on. So how do you monitor? Because these are very critical parameters where these vegetables can go, can die very fast, and it can be rotten. So how do you monitor them? So this is very much critical. In the current situation, it is very much important that everyone looking into technologies that can help you out, can simplify your daily activities, all right? And talking about a lot of processes that you have a lot of applications, you have a lot of other requirements that you need to be connected to, no issues. You're able to connect your ERPs or even your MES system in order to generate some data, which is also applicable, because you need to know how much of sales that they are doing, how much of supply chains that you are needed, how much is your stock ups, how much is your warehousing that you have, and all that. So it is much important that you can connect all this information, the data that is being collected or being saved in your servers or in your cloud, to be generated into valuable qualities that you can see in terms of data visualizations. Even an equipment manufacturing is also looking towards of their data that's been collected within the multi-level, because business intelligence for the IoT in terms of data models or AI analytics in terms of predicting, preventing, or even prescripting the outcome is very important. So that is the things that we are talking today about: multi-level factory connections, certain planning level connections, and even shop level connections. So today we are using one of the systems that we are using manual. A lot of places that everyone goes, even a supermarket, you have to go through a certain temperature scanner. There will be one or two people, standing in front of the shops and scan you before you go in and so on. You see, the technology has grown very fast. Okay, now we don't have to have all those things. So we just have a particular device that can help you out. You just have to go there and stand and present yourself. It will scan you. It will, you know, screen through your temperature and everything. So if you are qualified, you do not have anything that abnormal, then okay, the gate opens, then you go in. If it is abnormal, then it will trigger you. Then someone will have to, you know, take action or not to open the gate for you to go in and so on. So these are the on-demand face recognition and temperature screening product that is ongoing in the market, which is very much sellable in schools, even the stations, MRT stations, especially in malls and restaurants, hotels, and especially in hospitals, because they do not want to allow you know, unwanted gas and all this. So this is very much important. So how do we implement technology into this kind of devices when we collect the data? And with that data, how do we visualize it? So how do you know that how many visitors has came with a very good health and how many have a significant, you know, not well? So all these are very important, because you will be able to give, because the government says, okay, when someone goes to the restaurant, you need to write down your name and all. Do you have time? Do you have manpowers to do all these things? So how do you make technology to be very much helpful for you? So these are the new thing that is happening in the market, which you can consider of. So let me introduce about V1. V1 is a product from Vitrox. It's an industrial 4.0 software platform that collects your data from cloud, from your fog, or even an edge, and it's fully analyzable for you in a flexible visualization with a drill down chart where you can see from 0 up to your root cause actions. All right, so it is much flexible dashboards that you can make it in various designs, which is helpful and which is recognizable, and also which is useful when you want to look at your data. All right, so how to implement is only very simple, 3 stages. You just have to find connections. How do you connect your machine's data? How do you collect your data? Do you need some SecGEMs or OPC UA, or you need an empty connect, or you need some devices, some sensors, or even a controllers that will able to collect the data for you and then send it to a visualizations where you can visualize, including the images that you would like to see in sense of quality controls and so on. So you can also collect images inclusive. And how do you proact in terms of alerting when there is an abnormalities, or even before an abnormalities happens, you will also able to generate some triggerings in terms of sending SMSs, in terms of sending emails to certain particular people who is being the PIC person to take initiative in terms of preventing something to happen, or even a maintenance can be done together. And this will also trigger a track and trace into a ticketing system where you'll be able to know what are the major causes, what are the frequent incidents that's happening in your factory or in your manufacturing. So stage 1, there is the connection that you need to make sure that there is a criteria, what are the requirements, like even if you have a PLC, you can directly collect your data from your PLCs, and there's a lot of PLCs in the market, so you need to identify those PLCs are able to provide you with a lot of data. And also protocols, what kind of protocols is applicable for your machines, and what are the interfaces that you need to use. So these are the criteria and requirements that you need to understand that your machine is able to provide you with. Of course, infrastructure requirements is also very important, because when you don't have an infrastructure, how do you connect it? How do you make a link on your data extraction using particular agents, or even connecting using what kind of formats or raw or your data structures? Or how do you classify your data structures? Is it using a SQL or using a JSON or even an Excel? So it depends on how your data is being generated or structured properly, and how do you store your data into a certain storage. All right. So this is the basic machine connectivity that you can look about. It's just a classification that we can give you, is that from your machines, and it connects to the certain bridge using certain protocols, and from the protocols, how is your data is being stored in your server or even on the cloud. So you can decide which data goes to the server and which data goes to the cloud, depends on the critical data that you want to put in. Of course, when a lot of people will be talking about, oh, I have a machine that does not have a PLC, does not have a controller or any devices, it doesn't provide me any data, so I'm having difficulties of collecting this data. So what do I do? All right, we do understand there are machines that about 20 years or 30 years age on the road, but how do we manage it? We won't say that, okay, you throw away the machine, get a new machine, because we can't collect the data. So that's not the ideal idea that we would say. Okay, we will work out on how can we put in some kind of sensors, or even using a barcode system or RFID technologies into your particular legacy system, and collect a particular data that is able to provide from the machines. So this is also workable. So data management connectivity is very important, as Dr. Chua has explained earlier. System application, how is the data being entered into your particular processes, particular productions that is happening every day, and how do you classify those formats and storages into your particular system? And how does the data is being projected, visualized into sending it from your server and also on the cloud? Visualization, which is very important, because once you already collect the data from different sources, how do you visualize those data is very much important, because there's no point you collect the data and then you save it in the server and it is not being visualized. It doesn't make any impact or implementations that you can proceed with. So these are the data sources that you can visualize. There's various types of data sources that you can visualize it from. Data digitalization is also important. Many of factories that we have visited, they are still using manual. They just write it down in a piece of paper, and then from there someone else key into a data entry, and once the data entry is done, then only they visualize it in certain data formats, and then from there they visualize. Particularly this process will take about a week for them to have a certain types of data in order for them to see whether these particular data will be useful or not, whether to make improvements in their production. Because after a week, I would say it will be very late, because there's no opportunity for you to do improvements, because the data is already after. It is not on a real-time basis. But what we are looking into data digitalization is that we want something that you can act on a real-time basis, so which is very important. That is one of the reasons that we are saying that your data must be digitalized. All right. So this is a sample that I was explaining just now on the metal fabrication. So if you see the data is on a real-time basis, you collect it from the machine, so you can know what is the availability of your machine, and what is the performance of your machine, and what is the quality. So all these are being generated on a real-time basis. So you can act, or you can do any implementations or any actions on a real-time basis. You don't have to wait for a week, 2 weeks, or a month for you to do a lot of activities that you wanted to do. Again, this is on the glove manufacturing. So you can, as I said, the defects you can also see over here on the chart, where you can tell you on the defect counts that you have based on each production lines, or even by operator, or even by machine. So all this information are very useful for you to predict or to generate more information in terms of whether you need to increase your output or you need to decrease your output, or how do you qualify on the defects that is happening on a real-time basis. And this is also on the farming. You can also see there's a sensor data that's collected and is showing you the CO2 concentration, the humidity, the temperature, the nutrition, the nutrient concentrations, the water level. So everything you're able to monitor in a single platform. So you know how is the growth of your plants that is happening, all right? Yeah, on talking about sales and forecasting, this is also a very good tools, because when you see in the market, when you have various types of car, and for example, in Produa, you have Alza, you have Conchil, and then you have various types of Produa cars. So how do you know which one is making a good sales? So you can identify whether to do more production on the particular car models, or even you want to do a different majority of the particulars insides of the cars. So how do you improvise all these things? So these data are also very important for you to generate more sales and for you to do a lot of forecasting, in a sense of how do you increase your productivity, how do you increase your sales or increase your performances. So on this Proact, especially when you are connecting to your machines or your devices, how do you know that a machine, if there is any abnormalities? Current practice, we have tower lights, okay? We used to see a look at our tower lights. If it is red or if it is yellow, then we will know, okay, something is triggering. Then we have to go to the floor and look for it. And we wouldn't know what are the actual problems that has been taken place. So with this alert triggering, you are able to build one system, one particular plan based on your particular processes, particular information or procedures that you have in your factory, so that this particular thing will able to help you out on how to generate, on how to provide you with a productive actions from your engineers or even from your technicians to be taken place on a real-time basis. And this will also generate you with the e-ticketing function, where you can generate this one, you can track and trace every single activities that is happening towards your factory. Even like you want to manage your maintenances, how do you manage? Most of the time, a lot of people, what they do is that they just write it down in a piece of paper, and the paper will be running around, and end of the day, you wouldn't know whether the particular job or particular task has been completed or not. Even if it is completed, you wouldn't be able to track and trace how was it, and how was the problem solved, or was it solved due to parts, or was it solved due to lack of talents? So how do you measure all these things? Because you will have to wait until someone passes you the form, you have to key in the form, and after that you need to collect the data, and then after that you need to summarize them, and all these measurements is costing you a lot of times, and also you need a lot of manpowers, and you do not have a track and trace system in your particular factory, it will take you a lot of cost. So how do you minimize all these operational activities and costs? Is that this particular e-ticketing, you were able to send it on your mobile, on your tab, or even your emails. Everybody will get it, and then they will solve it on the spot. And you can measure how long do you take, how long your particular team takes the time to fix a certain problem. Is it due to a lack of talents or due to lack of parts? So all this you can identify immediately on a real-time basis. So you can also manage your own control center on triggering. For example, I just give you an example. How does, whenever abnormalities happen to your particular machines, how does the alert trigger to your control center? When the ticket is issued, it goes to your technician, and your technician goes to the particular factory or particular line or machines, fix it, and then close the tickets, and it comes back to you. So you would know on a real-time basis. And you also have this analysis on your ticketing statistic log. So with this, you will be able to know how and where and how can you do improvements in terms of reducing all these unwanted activities, unwanted incidents that happen based on this. So you can do a lot of, once you have the history data of frequently happening issues, incidents, then you'll be able to do your predictive and preventive actions based on this. Because history data, it's very important for you to do a predictive and preventive actions. All right, so let's come to the package, what we offer in Vatrox. We have two types of solutions. We have on-premise and also cloud. Okay, just to give a small comparison on on-premise on cloud. Okay, a lot of people they think, okay, on-premise is very expensive. I need to buy a particular license. I need to buy the server. I need to maintain the hardware. I need an IT personnel who can manage, who can maintain that. Yes, and then I need to train them. So there's a lot of cost that it impacts on my on-premise. And when you talk about cloud computing, it's just I just need to subscribe the cloud account. I just do a little bit of implementation in terms of the domain names, IP addresses, and a little bit of customization and a little bit of training. It is being done. So it always depends on how big is the data that you're collecting in your production. Let's say you have about 200 machines that collects a huge data, then I would say it's recommendable for you to have on-premise. But I would also say that you can have both solutions together, whereby you can put in certain critical, which I call it not to reveal so much of your information on the cloud, because current trend, there's a lot of threats, a lot of hackings happening and so on. So you might have some cybersecurity risk. You might be thinking that it will impact you. So you were able to categorize which is the critical and which is non-critical data that you would like to put on-premise and not on-premise. All right, so these are the particular packages that we are currently offering for SME industries related to the COVID-19 assistance. This package is available until 30th of June. You can contact us for more details. This is on-premise, and this one is for cloud packages. So there is a special discount that we are offering now for 20%, which is very much valuable for all the SMEs industries. All right, before I end my session, I would like to provide you a token of appreciation to all the participants that have spent time with us for the day today. This is the promo code that we would like to provide you for you to have a 60 days free V1 cloud trial account, so that when you have your data, you can able to visualize and connect your data with using the cloud account, and you'll be able to use it. And once you use it, you will know how much of values that your data have actually benefited you. So this is a very crucial time for you to do this. Make use of this time and grab this offer. It's for 60 days and it's free. And we also offer you for free access for you to learn digitally online on how to make use of this data, how to create your charts, how to visualize your charts on this. So with that, I say digitalization is a journey and is not a destination. So thank you so much. Start your journey now. So I pass over to Elaine. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you, Karen. That was a really good session, and I think Karen has shared with us very good examples of industry implementation and also highlighted the compatibility of open source options with their products and services. I'd like to also note that the last few slides of her deck noted that training is key. So I believe that this is sort of a good sort of bundle for the audience, that we provide the training and then VTrox would have some form of solution that can be considered as well. Now we're going to move on to the Q&A session. I have a question that is posted on the chat box earlier on, so I will start with that. And this question is from Su Fong. Su Fong has asked, let me just get to that question. Do companies need to pay for data logging, data visualization, and data analytics? And what is the cost of doing that? Now, I believe that for this session, we have two main options. So I'll just let Dr. Chua start first with what's available via training, and then Karen can also top up with what's available via products and services. All right?
Sure,
okay.
No problem. So in terms of what I've shared in my presentation, the journey of Industry 4.0, we split it into 5, right? If you look at the presentation deck, which will be sent to you later on by our team, basically, if you look at the software that we provide training for on SHRDC, basically those are open platforms that are available for you to try. Basically, we do understand that for a lot of SMEs and industries, especially in these difficult times, basically you want to understand how these technologies would benefit you, right? So open platforms are basically very much flexible and scalable for you. It's very easy easy to use. Basically, you can download it today, you can try yourself. And basically, there is no cost involved for certain portions of open platforms. So, but for me, do understand how it can be integrated to later when you want to scale up your businesses. Like if you want to integrate with platforms like V1 or any others, how would all these platforms come together? So one thing I can assure you of is that what we provide in terms of training, the platforms that we teach, it is integratable with V1. We have tested it. So that's something that you can have assurance that it will be beneficial for you. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chua. Karen, your anything to add to the
I think Dr. Chua have already covered everything.
Okay, all right. I hope that answers your question, Sufeng. Now we have got another question at the Q&A box, and it is a question from, I believe, in Kickstart 5. And he's saying, to get to level 1, which is data acquisition, we need additional technology to do that, especially for factories that are still labor intensive. So investments need to have a realistic ROI at the same time. Moving towards IR 4.0 is a bit worrisome for certain companies since the deployment does not really have a clear, for sure ROI. It becomes a situation where people question whether tech is a must-have or a nice-to-have. So his question is, how do you go about having a tangible approach to quantify ROI for 4.0 investment? I think this is a very commonly asked question.
Yeah.
So which one of you would like to pick it up and answer?
Karen, would you like to go first? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, maybe Dr. Chua, maybe you can take it up because it's in the level 1, right? Maybe you can.
Okay, sure, no problem. So basically, what I would say is that for industries, we really need to understand first what is the pain points in your area, right? When you talk about labor intensive, right, you need to see what is actually the areas where you want to see improvements. Not everything needs to be automated. Not everything needs to be high tech. For example, you need to understand what is the key pain points that you are facing, and then look into areas where you can improve and optimize. So for example, thinking about labor intensive, right? Sometimes it's not just about, the process, right? It's more about how you improve your processes through lean manufacturing, for example, right? If you can eliminate certain wastages in terms of your process, that actually saves you some time, right? Then when you want to look into improving that process time, then you may want to think about automation. But one important key point to start off is data automation, right? So data automation would be, how do you calculate, even for a labor intensive process, how do you calculate the start to the end, right? From a push of a button to an end, completion, which is another push of a button, that is already one cycle time, right? So if you can calculate that cycle time for many, many processes, you already have visualization of your process time in overall. Then when you look at that whole curve, right, it's all about minimizing your time versus your cost, right? So eventually that provides you with a very clear ROI to propose to your management team, right? So I will always say, start with a quick win project, right? What does your management want to see? Do they want to see, data being visualized, time? So let's automate data automation first with quick win projects. You can start with one of our level 1 programs, which is data generation, and then move forward from there. How you integrate it into visualization platforms, storage platforms, and then maybe into cloud platforms later on, like V1. Yeah.
So let me add on this, Dr. Chua.
Yeah, sure.
Digitalization is not a full, complete thing that a factory have to do it at one shot, okay?
Yeah.
And we do not recommend that. What we always suggest is that go step by step, by stages. Start from the main pain points, start small, and you don't have to invest so much at the beginning. Invest small first, visualize it first, see whether that is workable for you, and then you can go to step 2. So step by step is a very good, I would say, it's a productive way of working on Industry 4.0.
All right, thank you for that. We move back to the chat box. There's a question from Mr. Alvin Teng. He's asking whether tech support, and I'm assuming this is a question for you, Karen, May I know the tech support comes from local Malaysian or is it overseas tech support in terms of software support, he's asking.
All right, I think many of you still do not understand. They are thinking that Waitrox is an overseas company. Okay, for your information, Waitrox is a local large company, is owned by Malaysian. So its support and servicing is all Malaysian. Our 90% of our workers, our talents are all Malaysian.
Okay, all right, Alvin, I hope that answers your question. I think this is also related. Another question we have in the Q&A box, again from Mr. Said Fight. Does V1 Cloud use local cloud providers or overseas? Some information can't be legally stored overseas, you know, for example, the PDPA Act, I think. Karen, maybe you want to explain a little more about storage?
Okay, we have two types. We have local and also overseas. So it's depending on which one customer would like to go to. Because certain customers, they have some restrictions on the PDPA thing. So we respect that. We have solutions on both.
Okay, thank you. Now, I've got a few questions, but before that, I'd like to encourage everyone to post your questions or comments on Q&A. We have a little bit of time left before we go to the poll. So please feel free to post your questions. Now, I'm going to ask the two presenters, what are the key factors from the business perspective, from the operations perspective, to consider to make an informed decision whether to go for on-premise or cloud storage option? So maybe we'll start with Dr. Chua.
Yep. So I think for in industries that really want to start their journey of data collection and data storage, and of course, I think the main key question is always on the tangible ROI that you want to achieve. So what I will always suggest is start with on-premise first. Start with saving your data from probably one machine, right, on a daily basis. You know, understand how that database storage is managed, how to build your own database, and all that is what we cover. Basically from there, then you can understand what is required, you know, to really scale up. Do you want to build your own local server in your factory operation, or do you want to invest in a cloud server which is out of your factory? I think there's always a win-win process for both, right? So if you store it in the cloud, basically you have your server is managed by another provider. You have all the if the provider is a well-known provider, recognized provider, they do have a lot of cyber security measures put in place to protect your servers that you rent from them or you take from them as a service, infrastructure as a service. Of course, you know, if you think about data being stored in the cloud, not all data should be stored in the cloud, right? You don't need to push every single information to the cloud because that's not very effective. You know, in terms of cost, because when you store data in the cloud, you think about space, and then of course you always need to think about your operations. You know, do you want your alert systems to be done on a shop floor, or do you want your system to go up in the cloud and then come back down again? So this is information that you need to identify on your own as a business case. But you know, for us, we would suggest always for businesses to start on-premise, start small, you know, take it step by step, and then you can then formulate your tangible ROI for your management team to consider for more options later on. Yeah.
So thank you, Dr. Chua. So Karen, maybe a few points on what to save or what to collect data on to start with.
Okay, many of the people that was collecting the data, they think that all the data have to be pushed, whether into the server or into the cloud. But my suggestion is that you can structure out those data that you are collected, because not all the data that you collected from a particular machines or devices are valuable. Some may not be valuable. There's just a sense of collecting it. So what you can do is structure out your data, which is useful, which is not useful. And then another part is that which one is your priority and which one is your non-priority. So you can have an option of putting non-priority data into your on-premise solution and putting, all those non-priority data, which is useful, but you can put it on the cloud, where you can see that it is not a lot of information that is still, even if people steal your information, that will not be much useful for them. So those data that which is very much PNC, which consists dollar and cents, that you think it is very critical for you, you can put it on premises, because none of the current providers are saying that 100% is secured when you put things on the cloud. So to be preventive on this information, so I would suggest that you can do this as in a measurement to secure your data.
Okay, thank you for that, Karen. There are no more questions being posed. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the questions provided in the comments as well. We'd like to now do a quick poll to gather your feedback on the session. Just give us a moment. We will push the poll live right now for your feedback. Yes, we have 3 questions. So question 1, did the webinar meet your expectations? Did the webinar motivate you? And will you consider signing up for a full program? So we give this about 30 seconds or so for you to respond accordingly. All right, so we've got some feedback. It's looking good so far. I hope that all of you would proceed to vote. We've got about 48% right now. Okay. All right. Okay. I will end the polling right now. Thank you very much for your feedback. Yeah. And once again, many thanks for all of you for spending an hour or so with us in this webinar session. I'm going to share contact information from SHRDC primarily after this. Just give me a moment while I share my screen. All right, you can contact any one of us listed here, the sales team, the general line, or you can contact us directly. You will be getting a link to get a copy of this webinar in the next 2 days or so. I will, if there's any questions that you might have, please drop us an email at ask@shdc.org.my. And if you need to be in touch with Betrox, we will also put you in touch with Karen. Yep. Once again, thank you. Have a very good day ahead, and we hope to see you again soon for another upcoming webinar series in June. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.